behavior. One Republican who voted for Trump 3 times called into C-SPAN's Washington Journal today to voice his growing frustrations with the president in recent weeks.
Voted for the president, supported him, but I really want to apologize. I mean, I'm looking at this awful picture of the Obamas. What an embarrassment to our country. All this man does is tell lies. He is not worthy of the presidency. He takes bribes blatantly, and now he's being a racist blatantly. He's pathetic as a president, and I just want to apologize to everybody in the country for supporting this rotten man.
C-SPAN, Washington Journal, continues to be
all this man does is tell lies. He is not worthy of the presidency. He takes bribes blatantly, and now he's being a racist blatantly. He's pathetic as a president, and I just want to apologize to everybody in the country for
the Doge, the ICE, all of it. Look,
no one should be shocked about President Trump saying things that are objectionable. I was on live television when he said, I don't consider John McCain a war hero. And I said on live television, well, that's the end of his presidency. I commented that, this is the end of him when he got caught with Billy Bush talking about grabbing women's private parts. And if that was the end of him, people didn't elect him to be the politically correct guy. You got to be a moron to think he's going to be the politically correct president. He's not going to be elegant. He's not going to be classy. That's not who he is. He's a brash Queens businessman who ripped off a lot of people when he was a businessman. He stiffed a lot of people, especially down in Atlantic City. But there is obviously a hunk of the citizens of this country knowing all of those things, knowing what he said about McCain, knowing how he treated his wife, knowing how he treated his wives and all that. But I guess they also looked at his children and said, well, his children love him, they adore him. I guess they look at his polling. Look, I mean, nobody thought he was going to win that primary.
But I guess does it reflect on, if you are a Trump supporter, and it doesn't matter to you that he is trafficking in racist tropes, does that reflect back on you?
If you were a Menendez supporter, if you were a Menendez supporter,
earlier this week, in a really ugly incident we saw in Minnesota, protesters called an ICE officer the N-word.
Those protesters are not the president of the United States.
Do leftists have to own that?
That was acceptable too.
I don't think that leftists have to own that. I don't think that Republicans have to own.
He is the president. That's a important fact here. He is the president. Let me play with the Eric Erickson sound about this, because he addresses essentially that piece of it. Trump is the president.
It's appalling to people who are like, well, maybe he didn't see the end of the video. He's the president of the United States of America. Stop excusing everything he does. At some point, the president needs to understand, you're going to lose the midterms. You're going to get impeached. It's not just about you, sir. It's about all of us, the things we voted for. The middle finger of the majority of Americans will be hoisted at the Republicans in November if the president's behaviors and impulses and strategies, or lack thereof, don't change.
I mean, do you take the point that he's making, Lydia?
Look, it's fair. I mean, and obviously the midterms are going to be sort of a moment of where we face the reality of where the American voters are. So,
but I mean,
it's going to be a watershed moment.
There's an older white guy who I see in my neighborhood a lot. I think he probably voted for Donald Trump. We never talk about politics. Talk about sports, talk about kids, talk about dogs, all the other things. The other day, he said to me, he said, it was super cold. He said, maybe this is Trump's way of getting us ready to go to Greenland, right? And then he started talking about what's going on with this guy. This guy's really out of control. He never talked politics about me. He talked to me about politics before. I think that this is all starting to wear thin. The bribery and the corruption, or the attempted, we don't know if it's actual bribery, but the corruption, we are seeing the way that Trump is Greenland, we are seeing Venezuela, and then defending and attacking people who were shot dead in Minneapolis by police forces that he leads. I think people are now starting to realize this is not what they voted for, and the economy isn't getting any better either.
That's-
That is the
that's the
reason why we're still having to go through this.
So here's the question, and you've been deep into politics, all of you, much more than I have. But if in August gas prices are way down, and they'll sink like $1.99, and then by September the stock market's surging, all of a sudden people have more money in their pocket. Does the money and the comfort level and the taxes, breaks or whatever, does that outweigh every other thing we're
There
talking
is a moment, let me just say this, there is a moment that's a breaking point for every presidency. And the Biden administration, I think it was after Afghanistan. When people saw on television what happened in Afghanistan, it didn't matter, even when they liked the policy that was coming out, they wouldn't credit Joe Biden for being the person who actually was responsible for it. I think we are reaching the point where people believe Donald Trump is incompetent, he's boorish, he's corrupt, and they don't actually trust this
Can
guy.
I just say one thing about that caller though? The apology is accepted. You know? And I
Yeah.
think that like there are periods in time when folks are on the wrong side of history and they realize their error and they try to correct it. And I think the only way we get past this period is to apply forgiveness and
Absolutely.
say, you can come here, there is a home here. We might not always agree, but the courage to acknowledge when you do something wrong is actually more than the president did today. That caller did it, the president did not.
All right, guys. Next for us, the Trump